In October, I reported a story on motherjones.com about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce's membership claims. The Chamber is the largest business organization in the U.S. and the largest lobbying group in the U.S. Spends more than any other group or company. On its website and in speeches and a lot of other contexts, it claims to represent 3 million businesses across America. But I was skeptical of that number because there aren't that many businesses in the US. So, there are about 5 million businesses with payroll in the US. So I really wanted to know how it got to that number. And I did some digging and I found that really its true membership is more like 200 to 300,000. That's how I came to the conclusion that they'd really been inflating their numbers. The Chamber was getting a lot of attention in Washington. It's opposing pretty much every major initiative on the Democratic agenda, from healthcare to climate change. Claims that it speaks on behalf of businesses in America, which is a pretty diverse group and a pretty huge group. They would not comment when I asked them about this, and then never responded to me directly for quite a long time. But the very next day after the story appeared, they'd already had a press conference scheduled to announce this new national initiative. And during that press conference, cited a much lower membership number, 300,000. And so it seems highly likely that they did that in response to my story. After I published my story, there was a lot of interest around the internet. It was picked up by the Center for American Progress and its publications and the Huffington Post. And then when the Chamber held their press conference the next day and indirectly acknowledged that I was right, a lot of other publications jumped on. And so that basically forced the Chamber to pay attention and respond. And so then they posted a blog entry and basically cited our name and disagreed with us. They didn't so much disagree as they tried to spin it in various ways. This number, this 3 million number, has appeared in print, and the most prestigious publications from the New York Times on down for years. And so there was a certain amount of inertia that was causing reporters to still report this number, even though I felt like I had totally blown holes in it. The next thing I did was I wrote an open letter to the New York Times, the New Yorker, and a few other reporters, basically calling them out for continuing to use this number. And so then they were forced to respond, and that led to a bunch of other stories. And the New Yorker completely sided with me. James Surowiecki, their financial reporter, did this great blog post, basically thanking us for doing this story. And pretty much everybody else has come around. The New York Times now uses the smaller number too. The support for the Chamber has become much more polarized. I think increasingly people in the political center are starting to realize that the Chamber of Commerce is not that friendly organization that gives you tourist advice. It actually is a very right-wing group. And I think the most important thing is that the public and policymakers are starting to view the Chamber as it should be viewed, which is just another special interest group that represents a few pretty dirty industries, and not a group that speaks for the public or the business public.